Principal Matters Podcast, episode 405. Hi, friends. This is Will Parker, host of Principal Matters, the School Leaders Podcast, where each week we bring you inspiring, innovative, and imaginative ideas for your own school leadership. And this week, I'm with my special guest, Anne-Marie Ma, as we talk about building capacity in your leadership. Anne-Marie Ma is a returning guest, an educator who has worked in schools for over 25 years as a classroom teacher, school leader across a range of schools in Australia. Currently, she's the principal of St. Agatha's Primary School in the northeast suburbs of Brisbane, which is the capital of the state of Queensland in Australia. She also regularly contributes to Principal Matters newsletters and is the founder of Hey Hands Up, a website dedicated to raising the profile and capacity of educators. You can follow her work or find out more about her professional development offerings at heyhandsup.com. Anne-Marie Ma, welcome back to Principal Matters Podcast. Wow, we were trying to decide offline when that last episode was, and you said it was like 2021, wasn't it?
I think it might have been, Will. It was definitely in the middle of COVID. And I remember we were talking, and I was right at the start of my principalship, and it was pretty wild time back there. But it's been a couple of years, definitely, Will.
Well, why don't you fill in the gaps on that intro and tell listeners something else they may be surprised to know about you? You're an educator, but you're also a person.
I am also a person, believe it or not. I'm a person first, educator second, but I do absolutely love my job. I'm 4.5 years into being principal here at St. Agatha's, still my first ever principal role. I'm still loving it. I am still here, which is wonderful. Some other things about me: in my spare time, I'm a Pilates enthusiast. I absolutely love doing Pilates, and I am actually considering doing a Pilates instructor's course because I love it so much. And, you know, it's the teacher in me. What can I say? And then as well as that, since last time we spoke, I became a dog mum. So I've got a beautiful little cavoodle puppy named Brooklyn, and he is just the absolute joy of my life and the world's most spoiled dog. So they're the gaps for me.
Goodness. Well, you're going to have to send me a photo of your puppy if you don't mind us putting it with the show notes, because in fact, Mark Juretz was the last Australian education leader I had on the show, and he also was celebrating his dog. So this is becoming a trend in my friends on the other side of the world. First of all, Anne-Marie, we're going to be recording this at a time when listeners will probably hear this in the summer, my summer. So just so that the rest of the world learns what Will's learning, what is it like in July where you live compared to where? Because here it's hot and we're in the middle of break. So, but what's it like for you and your education friends on the other side?
Absolutely. July in Australia. Well, I'm quite lucky where I live in Brisbane because it's pretty much beautiful weather all round, lovely and sunny. So in winter, we wear jumpers and jackets, but there's definitely no snow. And yeah, it's sort of right in the middle of the year around July. It doesn't tend to rain. It's quite dry here in Brisbane. It does rain in summer, though. So while you're enjoying your summer break, when we have summer in Brisbane, it's very, very hot, very, very humid, and it builds up usually to a storm most afternoons. So July's lovely, I must admit. It's a beautiful time of year here in Brisbane.
Well, I live in the heartland of the US, which is in the summers not lovely. It is humid. It is hot. It is, everyone just heads for the mountains or tries to get as far north as they can. So now I know where I should be, which is in Brisbane, if I want to be in a place that's lovely in the summer. Tell us more about your school. And we're going to jump into just a moment the conversation about building capacity and leadership. But first, tell us some of the happenings from your school community you're most proud of. And tell us some more about what it's like to be a student where you serve.
Thank you. Well, since we talked last time, Will, I think last time we were, because we were during COVID, we weren't able to have parents on site. It was very locked down. which was very difficult because as a community-minded person, I absolutely love having families together at our school. So now that the world's opened up again, our school community is really shining. We are who we are. And who we are here at St. Agatha's is a school of 350 children from prep, so they're approximately 5 years old, through to our year sixes, which is about 12 years old. The school community itself is one that is just like a big family. We are so welcoming. Everyone knows everyone. We have first generation, second generation, third generation families coming through our school, which is wonderful. Things I'm really proud of here. I'm really proud of the way that we've been able to connect back again after everything that's happened over the last few years. Having parents on site, having members of the community come in, share stories, join. It's just a great place to be. All of the children play together. We have minimal behaviour problems here at the school. Everyone genuinely looks out for each other. Things I'm proud of at this school, this is going to sound weird, but I am so proud of the fact we're just a big bunch of learning nerds. We love learning at St. Agatha's. Our staff are just incredible. They are so interested in their careers. They're so interested in the education of students. Our parents are very interested as well. We have great support when our parents come to parent workshops or education sessions. The children themselves are just incredible. My poor front office secretary, I think it does her head in because children are always knocking at her front office saying, can I make an appointment with Miss Moore? I've got an idea. And those ideas build into things from putting on school plays, talent shows, cupcake stalls to raise money for animal shelters, cookie stalls, bake sales, all of the ideas you can imagine. It is just the best. It is the best, most wonderful place to be.
Oh my goodness, Anne Marie. So I'm going to pause for a second because this is the 405th episode that I have recorded. And I think you're the first guest who's ever said we are a big bunch of learning nerds. And I love that because there's just something so joyful about being in a place where people are so curious and so hungry and where you have permission to be a learning nerd. And so that just makes me so happy. And it also makes me happy of how connected your community and your parents are and your students are to bringing you ideas, and how open you are to, like, because they know if there's something that we haven't done before, Miss Ma will listen to us and we can consider adding something new to our school community.
For sure. I have to admit, though, Will, I've got a little group of year 3 boys at the moment who they asked if they could start a ninja club. And I said, all right, tell me more about that. And they said, oh, we're going to be like throwing stars, and we've got swords. And anyway, I didn't want to disappoint them, but I was also thinking, safety. And I said, how about each of you invite one friend and we can do a trial run in our hall next Friday lunchtime. Let's have a little look at how it goes. And it ended up just being a group of 10 of them having the best time with these little plastic swords that they brought and things like that. Anyway, in my mind, I'm thinking there is no way we can do this as a club. And I said, you know what, boys, I think that you're having a great time. How about we keep this as what we call a closed club? So just the 10 of you each week, I'll supervise. You can come in here and have a good time.
Oh, there's so much wisdom in that. You encouraged them to beta test the idea, and then found a way to use the experience to limit the exposure to anyone that might end up getting injured. So well done, Anne Marie. Let's talk for a little bit about your passion to build capacity and the people you love so much, your fellow educators, and also about the reason I brought you back to the show is because you and I have stayed connected. We've corresponded, we've talked offline in the last several years, and I have just so appreciated your commitment to ongoing growth. And so now, 4.5 years into this work, I can call you a seasoned leader. And I just want to ask you, what are some of the ideas or experiences that have helped you grow as a leader?
There's so many experiences, and I continue to have them every day. And not all of them are nice, Will, can I tell you? Some of the biggest growth moments are often those moments where your feelings are hurt or you get a bit teary because someone might confront you. It can be hard. There are really, really hard days in this job, but being able to look at it through the lens of compassion and the lens of a growth mindset, and being able to say, okay, what do I need to learn from this? Sort of surrendering the ego a bit and being able to go, all right, in this space, that idea didn't work, or the villagers are restless. Things are not working. I need to listen here, and I need to do better. I need to do better. And wow, that can be hard. But there's also growth moments in the celebrations when you look around and things are really chugging along so well. And you have people swinging past your office with student work samples going, have a look at this writing. Oh my goodness, it's so amazing. And you need to kind of take those moments, those little mental snapshots, and just think, wow, how did we get to this point that we're celebrating this? What happened before it? But also, how can we harness this and how can we grow it?
Not all growth is nice. And
Not all growth is nice,
yeah, I
Will.
love how you said, learning to look at those challenges through the lens of compassion and a growth mindset and surrendering to ego. Take us there for a minute, Anne Marie. And I know you can't breach confidentiality, but give us a story. Take us to an experience that you've had where that's something that you've had to apply.
One story that I have, and I wrote about this on my blog, was I thought I was being a superhero principal. I thought I was had my finger on the pulse on every single thing. And I received feedback that I was micromanaging. That was probably one of the hardest moments that I've had in my principal career. I would go and visit people's classrooms in the morning. Right, how's that child going? I saw them in the playground, and I'm concerned that they had a fight with their friend, or how's that person's reading level. And I realized while I was coming in very passionate and gung-ho and really feeling like I was this Cape Crusader, knowing my superpower was knowing every single thing about every single person, that was putting so much pressure on people. They felt that they couldn't breathe. They felt that I was micromanaging every single step along the way. And so I must admit there were tears. I did have a bit of a cry when I received that feedback. It was really, really hard. And it took me a good week to process. And after that, I thought, okay, what do I need to do? And I had a chat to a few of the people at work and just said, what do I do here? I thought I was doing the right thing. And they said, it's coming from a good place, Anne Marie. It really is, but it's just killing us. You've just got to back off a bit. And so what I ended up doing, which sounds quite funny, in my mind, I felt like I was slacking off. I actually took a couple of steps back. I did not quiz people about every single child in every single class. And all of a sudden that opened some space, and people were coming to me rather than me, making a beeline for them. I'm sure some people would have turned off their lights and hid in their classrooms when they saw me coming because, oh God, here she comes again. But all of a sudden people were either walking past my office, or if I was just doing a bit of a round of the playground, they'd come over and say, hey, can I just share this story with you? Or I just want some advice. I had to let people come to me a bit because I wasn't opening up that opportunity for them.
Oh my gosh, Anne Marie, thank you so much for that story. And I want to just sit here for a few moments because I just want to reflect on that. And I'm just thinking for a second about the difference between a young coach and an older coach. Let's talk about athletics. And you'll notice in older, wiser, experienced coaches that and again, this is not a blanket. This doesn't maybe apply for everyone, but there's a lot of wisdom in taking a step back and watching quietly, assessing what's going on, deciding when to speak, when to provide input, but then letting the things in front of you play out. Because if you tried to speak to every single thing that you saw that needed to be addressed in a moment like that, you would overwhelm your players, because no one ever operates perfectly or in complete sync. So what I hear you saying is that, and I wrote this down, I created more space for my team members, which then gave them permission to come to me when they needed feedback. And so it wasn't that you still weren't aware. It wasn't that you were any less concerned. It wasn't that you still weren't engaged and observing. You still knew what was going on, but you quieted yourself as a leader long enough so that they could do the work. And then when they were ready with a question or a concern, they were coming to you with that openness. And so instead of running from you, they were actually coming to you. What a great lesson for leaders. But what else would you add to that?
It was a really big lesson, Will, and it's one of those ones that I continue to keep myself in check with, because like anyone who's passionate and enthusiastic about their work, sometimes you can become a bit of a bore to other people, and you need to just, like, people know you care about your job. You don't need to tell them every second of every day. It's
I'm
it's
laughing.
okay. It's okay. We know it. We get it. You love your job. Okay, you're a principal. Good. But I think that we do need to just give a bit of space, allow people to have those bad days and not have to be a fixer, be a listener rather than a fixer, and guide people to help them find the answers in themselves that work for them, and trust and be that, I guess, that safety net if they come and see you and go, oh my goodness, Anne-Marie, I tried this and it just, did not work. That's okay. That's all right. Let's talk through it. All right. What are you going to try next? What do you think? What are your ideas? Rather than, yeah, well, look, I know that wouldn't work. And so therefore, this is what you're going to do next. And I'll organize that. I'll take your class while you go, which is probably me a couple of years ago versus me now.
Let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. As a school leader, you have a vision of a thriving, supportive educational environment where every teacher and student can succeed. With DigiCoach, you can turn that vision into reality. Imagine walking into a classroom with DigiCoach on your mobile device. Its customizable look-fors and pre-written feedback statements streamline your feedback process, saving you precious time. You're not just observing, you're actively supporting your teachers while generating data to drive instructional change. With the new coaching plan feature, you can effortlessly document action plans and coaching conversations. This ensures every teacher is supported and you can track their progress related to your campus goals. DigiCoach empowers you to customize the platform to fit your specific needs, reinforcing your vision at every step. And when you need support, the DigiCoach team becomes your team, with consulting efforts focused on realizing your organization's goals. By using DigiCoach, you lead your school to remarkable progress. Ready to turn your vision into reality? Visit digicoach.com and tell them that Will Parker sent you. Everyone talks about the power of data-driven instruction, but what does that actually look like? Look no further than IXL, the ultimate online learning and teaching platform for K-12. IXL gives you meaningful insights that drive real progress, and research can prove it. Studies in nearly all 50 states show that schools that use IXL outperform other schools on state tests. Educators who use IXL love that they can easily see how their school is performing in real time to make better instructional decisions. And IXL doesn't stop at just data. IXL also brings an entire ecosystem of resources for your teachers with a complete curriculum, personalized learning plans, and so much more. It's no wonder that IXL is used in 95 of the top 100 school districts. Ready to join them? Visit IXL.com/PM to get started. Wow, there's so much wisdom in that. And I'm so glad you shared that, Anne-Marie. I want to also stay here a little bit longer, but from the perspective of the aspiring leader or the new leader that's stepping into this work, give us a little bit more feedback in terms of what you would be saying to that. If you could go back and talk to the younger Anne Marie who's stepping in, what would you tell her? And what would you tell someone else who may be listening to this who's stepping into a new work?
Oh, look, just the words calm down come to mind. Just calm down. um, I sort of think as a new leader, and for anyone who's a new leader, you might be, coming in operating at a 10 because you're so excited. Give some space. You're only one person within that big group. Yes, you're the leader at the school, being a principal or an assistant principal or a curriculum leader, but you need to give a bit of space to breathe. And I think it was Jethro Jones who spoke about you're coming into a new school. It's your chapter 1. It's someone's been at the school 5 years. It's their chapter 5. You're a new character entering into this story. Start of a school year, that's the start of the new chapter. Some of the characters might be the same, some might be different. But in a book, if you had a new main character just coming straight in and dominating without any other background, or not just easing themselves into the setting or the plot, it doesn't make sense. It's actually quite jarring. And so I think as a new leader, really be aware of where you are, who you are, and the people around you, because you're part of a school community. A school does not exist unless there is more than one person there. The other advice and feedback I'd give for new leaders is be kind. Just be kind to everyone, and that includes yourself. You won't have all the answers. Be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, can you just give me a bit of time to think about that? As a new leader, I thought I had to have all the answers 3 days before people needed them. But now I find myself saying more often than not, can I just think about that? Can we have another conversation about that tomorrow, just while I've got a bit of processing time? That really helps.
Mm. Be aware of where you are, who you are, and be kind to everyone, and that includes yourself. Man, Anne Marie, this is so golden. I want to, I'm going to probe a little bit because I know you wrote about this recently in one of your posts. Talk to me about why you also have a motto of remembering we're human.
I just think it's important to remember that we're all human here. As a school leader, you're a human being. As I said earlier, you're a human first and an educator second. That parent coming across the playground, making a charge for you because they want to talk about something that happened with their child, they're a human first, they're a parent second. So we all need to remember that we might not always approach things the best way possible. We might sometimes be acting out of emotion. We only ever see 10%, that analogy of the iceberg. And there are days where we have people, students, from the youngest student in your community right through to members of staff and members of the community and our families, who they're just trying to hold together that 90% under the surface. And what we see is the 10% above, which might be someone absolutely blowing their stack because the photocopier is out of paper. We know it's not about the photocopier being out of A3 paper. We know that. There's something so much more there. And I think whilst we expect people to maybe see us as human, we have to see other people as human as well. And as humans, we are flawed. As humans, we are amazing. As humans, we are growing and changing every single day.
Thank you for that. I want to talk also about your new, I'm going to call it project, because this is something that you've been committed to now for quite a while, which is why I have begun to include some of your articles in the Principal Matters newsletter. And for any listeners out there, shameless plug, if you don't subscribe to the newsletter that comes with this podcast, then just go to williamdparker.com and go down to the bottom of the page. There's a place where you can subscribe for the newsletter. And each week you get a summary of the show, but you also get additional bonus material. And from Principal Matters associates, friends of mine who also create content. And Anne-Marie Ma is one of those people. So Anne-Marie, talk about what motivated you to begin writing and contributing regularly to conversations about building capacity in educators.
Yeah. Um, I always had, and it was actually your book, Will, that helped me pause, breathe, flourish. I had in my mind when I first started on the principal road, I gave myself 3 years and I thought, I am going to give myself 3 years. And at the end of this 3 years, if I am still working ridiculous hours and feeling like my heart is in my throat every day and not being able to sleep or whatever it might be, if I'm feeling like that after 3 years, this is not the job for me. And it really kept me in check, Will, because it was coming up to the 2-year mark and I'm like, oh, okay, oh, better get this together. And then all of a sudden it started opening up. And I write another blog post about this, about talking about when the rock leaves, and it's that rock in your stomach that, you know, like your stomach's twisted. All of a sudden that started disappearing. And I started thinking, I think I can do this. I've always loved this job, but I was feeling more relaxed in the role. And so as I was coming to that 3-year mark, I actually took some long service leave. It took 2 weeks long service. And that was always the plan, to be able to really evaluate where I was for the 3 years and what I was going to do in my next 3 years. And as I was coming to the 3-year mark, I thought, no, this is good. I'm actually where I need to be. I feel how I want to feel in this role. And so part of that 3-year mark was then, well, if I'm here now, what am I going to do for those Anne-Maries of the world who are at the start of the 3-year journey, or those people who maybe aren't even considering it because they've already talked themselves out of it? And school leadership is an amazing thing. I love being an educator. And I thought, particularly after or during COVID, there's a lot of burnout happening, and a lot of people becoming quite disillusioned with education and being a teacher. And being a teacher is awesome. Being an educator is the most brilliant job in the world. And I thought, I need to really share that. I need to celebrate that. But I also need to, I believe it's now part of my role in these next 3 years and beyond, to start sharing some of the wisdom that I've gained. And I hope people learn from my mistakes, to be able to help people along the way, people who might be in their first year of teaching, their first year in a middle leader role, first year principal, but those people who might have changed schools, or even ones who have been in their role for a very long time, and they want a bit of a laugh along the way. I don't take myself too seriously in the website, and it's lots of fun. And the reason why I called it Hey Hands Up is that idea of, you know, hands up in class to call out answers, but also that idea of with our hands, we raise one another. So we should all be really proud to say, hey, I'm an educator, and being an educator is the most brilliant job. So I launched in August last year, and I've just started with the blog. I'm looking towards a podcast, hopefully mid this year, and then looking at bringing on some things like some mastermind classes. I've got a couple of freebie online courses that didn't quite land, and that's okay. You know, we have to give things a go. The Anne-Marie 3 years ago might have been upset about that, but me now, I'm okay. And it's just about giving people some opportunities, and it's about not only raising the profile of educators in our world, but raising the capacity and really coming from the inside out, starting with yourself. Let's talk more favorably about our amazing profession that we have.
Okay, let me sit here for just a moment, Anne-Marie, because I want to not just appreciate what you just said, but I also just want to reflect on some lessons in this journey of leadership and in education that might help other people that are listening to. And the first word that's coming to my mind is intentionality, because when I think back in my own reflections to the journey I've been on, and when I've worked with other leaders whose journeys I've admired, there is something very powerful about giving yourself permission to set a specific goal or a marker, a time period, a destination. And so the fact that you said to yourself at the beginning of your principalship, I'm going to give this 3 years, and then I'm going to see at the end of that 3 years, is this sustainable? Is this not? Was this the right choice? I'm not sure if I've ever actually worked with a leader who's been that intentional about, okay, I'm going to give this much time, because most of us, we invest a lot of money in education. We work hard on our skills and credentials and certifications. We feel very invested. So when we're in it, we're like, well, this is it. I've spent all this time. And one of the things that I've been trying to communicate with my friends, and because I do a lot of coaching too, who are facing that question of the pathway that I'm on and what should I be doing next. A lot of times, and I like to use this phrase, it's important to avoid the binary, because the binary is that either I'm going to do this or I'm going to do this. And what you are giving yourself is permission for what I call the complexity, which is permission to go, okay, I'm going to try this for this set amount of time. And then I'm going to take a step back and ask myself, is it working? And if it's not, where can I tweak it, or where can I go? And in your case, not only did you say, I've found a place now where I feel comfortable and where I feel like I'm flourishing, but then you were intentional again by saying, now I'm going to set a new goal, which is communication. So Principal Matters listeners, I hope I'm being clear that, and I don't know a better way to say it than this, that you typically achieve more when you set intentional goals. And I know that sounds so common sense, but I'm just going to say from my own experience that the times when I've set measurable, specific goals on my calendar, timelines for myself, I typically achieve way more than when I'm winging it, or when I'm making it up as I go, or I'm just hoping, because hope is not a strategy. And so so let me let you speak to that, Anne Marie. Why is it so important for you in your own growth to be so intentional?
I think something that rings in my mind, particularly in this role, is the days are long, but the years are short. And if you don't have a couple of markers in place, and they need to be long-term markers, you might end up being in a place where you think, how did I even get here? Why am I here 5 years down the track? What have I actually achieved in this time? And it needs to be bigger than just your annual improvement plan or your personal, strategic goals for the year. It needs to be bigger than that, and it needs to be long-term, and it needs to be something that I believe is through service. So that's why for me, these next 3 years, looking at really growing Hey Hands Up and still continuing my work as a full-time principal, because I absolutely am not giving this job up. I love it. It's working out how I can find the balance, but also that focus on service. How can I serve others? I don't think a year is long enough. I often joke with people, particularly our graduates or brand new leaders, I'll say, use I'm new for a good 12 months, right up until that last day of your first year. Keep saying I am new, because that's true. You're new. You haven't lived that year before. And to make a decision based on 6 months or 12 months, I just don't think you've given it enough time. You haven't been able to really sink into it and be able to really evaluate where you are. As I said to you before, even at that 2-year mark, I started panicking a bit, going, oh my gosh, I've only got a year left. I don't know if I'm ready to give this up, but I can't keep operating the way I'm operating. And so subconsciously, you're making those little micro changes towards what you really want. And for me, I really wanted to keep going in this job. And so the subconscious in me started making some changes, started looking at my boundaries, started really reflecting on feedback to give me what I ultimately wanted, which was to remain in this role.
Wow. Okay, Anne Marie, I'm expecting a book on this at some point. Subconsciously, you make those micro changes to achieve what those outcomes are that you really want to reach. It's so rich. Let's wrap this up, Anne Marie, because I want listeners to stay connected with you and not just enjoy this conversation. So, what are some parting words of advice or any additional thoughts that you wanted to add to today's conversation? And then how can listeners stay connected and learn more about what you're doing?
No, thanks, Will. I think my parting words would be, I just made a little note earlier when we were talking, and I think be boldly compassionate. As a school leader, you are human, and you really need to look at one another in that human experience and be incredibly kind. But I think compassion is deeper than that. Be boldly compassionate. You do need to be courageous as a leader, and you do need to be bold. And sometimes you need to have those hard conversations. You might need to make a decision that could get some pushback. But if you are boldly compassionate, you will listen to people along the way. And whilst you might not be changing the direction, you will support people to come with you. So if people are looking for me, and as always, if there's anyone who has particular topics that they would like me to write a little reflection on or anything like that, either get in contact with Will, because I am a contributor to the Principal Matters newsletter, but also you can find me on heyhandsup.com, or main focus for me is LinkedIn. I'm a really passionate LinkedIn user. So Anne-Marie Moore, so it's ANNE-MARIE, and then last name's Moore, MAW, and that's at LinkedIn. And you can also follow Hey Hands Up at LinkedIn as well.
Well, Anne-Marie Ma, thank you so much for the way that you have built capacity in your own leadership. And thank you for your generosity in staying connected with the work that's happening at Principal Matters, but also with being willing to step into this conversation today. And also for all of the work that you're doing, contributing to the field with the work that you're doing through Hey Hands Up. So Principal Matters listeners, all of those contact areas will be included in today's show notes. But until next time, Anne-Marie, thank you so much for the opportunity. And Principal Matters listeners, thank you for doing what matters. We'll talk to you again next week. You'll find free resources like this one at williamdparker.com. Subscribe for our free weekly newsletter, which contains bonus material, and also check out the links for Grow Academies, Masterminds, Executive Coaching, and Keynote presentations from my books, as well as from Principal Matters Associates. You can find out more under our speakers tab at williamdparker.com. Thank you for learning together, and thank you for doing what matters.